All right, let's talk about something that's pretty much every homeowner's worst nightmare: water damage. You know, that heart-sinking moment you find a leak, it can feel totally overwhelming. But honestly, understanding what's really going on is the first step to getting back in control. So let's dive into what happens from the second that crisis starts.
Okay, so picture it. A pipe bursts, or maybe you find a leak from the roof. You manage to find the source, you get the water shut off, you've stopped the flood. Phew. But here's the thing. What happens next? The real challenge, the one you can't see, well, that's just getting started.
And that right there is the key. That puddle you see on the floor, that's just the tip of the iceberg. See, water is a sneaky expert at hiding. It wicks up inside your walls, it soaks deep into the subfloors, and it gets into all your insulation. And every single hour you wait, that hidden moisture is just causing more and more damage, setting you up for much bigger problems down the road.
So yeah, that brings us right into our first big topic here, this race against time. We're going to break down why those first few moments after a water event are so critical. It's not just about mopping up, it's about stopping a whole chain reaction of secondary damage before it can even start.
And you know what? Where you live plays a huge part in all this. For instance, if you're in a place with really high humidity and what's called clay soil, that soil that literally expands when it gets wet, well, trying to dry out a building becomes way more difficult. The moisture gets trapped. But this isn't just a local thing. Whether you live somewhere humid or somewhere super dry, your own local conditions are always going to affect how fast and how bad the damage gets.
In this timeline, man, it really drives home just how fast things go wrong. Within the first hour, water's already working its way through drywall and subfloors. Give it 24 hours and you're starting to see actual physical damage. You know, wood floors start to cup, baseboards swell up. But the real deadline, the scary one, is that 48-hour mark. Because under the right damp, humid conditions, that's when mold can start to grow. And suddenly, your water problem has become a potential health problem.
Oh, and get this, not all water is created equal. In the restoration world, they break it down into 3 categories. You've got Category 1, which is clean water, like from a broken water pipe. Then there's Category 2, gray water. Think discharge from a washing machine. It's got some contaminants in it. And then you have Category 3, black water. This is the really nasty stuff. We're talking sewage backups, floodwaters. It's highly unsanitary. And each one of these requires a totally different game plan for cleanup and safety.
So with this ticking clock and all this hidden damage, how in the world do you fight back? Well, that's where the professionals come in with their playbook. They don't just guess. They follow a very strict, methodical process that's designed to take all that chaos and turn it back into control.
And that whole process really breaks down into 3 clear phases. First up, emergency extraction. That's just getting all the standing water out fast. Next, and this is the most important part, is structural drying. And this is way more than just setting up some fans. It's a scientific approach using specialized gear to pull that trapped moisture out. And then finally, you've got final verification. This is where they use meters and instruments to prove with data that the structure is back to where it should be.
And this all leads to a really important point I want you to take away. Modern water restoration, it's all about science. It's about data. It's about measuring what you can't see and making smart decisions based on industry standards, not just on what looks or feels dry.
This is exactly why trying to DIY a major water issue can be so risky. Sure, you can mop up the water on the surface, but you have no way of knowing how much moisture is trapped inside a wall. Professionals come in with gear like thermal imaging cameras and moisture meters to hunt down every last bit of it. Plus, and this is huge, they provide the detailed daily logs and documentation that your insurance company is absolutely going to demand before they pay a claim.
I really love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. Restoration follows a standard, not a schedule. The job isn't done in 3 days or 5 days just because. Nope, it's done when the scientific standard for dryness, like the one set by the IICRC-certified, has been met. Period. That's what protects you from problems like mold or rot showing up months later. So what does a standard even look like? Well, a lot of the time, it's a number. For the wood framing in your house, for example, the goal is to get its moisture content down to somewhere between 12 and 15%. Technicians will literally take readings from all over until they can prove every affected piece of wood is back in that safe zone. It's precise, it's not a guess. All right, so once everything is finally, verifiably dry, you move into the last phase, recovery and prevention. This is all about putting your house back together, dealing with the insurance claim, and, maybe most importantly, learning how to keep this from ever happening again. And hey, listen up, because if you ever have to file a claim, this part is for you. This is the kind of stuff your insurance adjuster needs to see. They need proof. We're talking detailed photos from day one, daily logs that track the moisture and humidity levels, and that final report showing the drying goals were met. Having all this documentation is the absolute key to making your claim go smoothly.
But of course, the absolute best way to deal with water damage is to never have it in the first place, right? So this checklist is basically your homework. Do you know where your main water shutoff valve is? Could you find it in a panic? When was the last time you actually looked at the hoses on your washing machine? These little checks can honestly save you from a world of hurt.
And that really brings us to our final thought. Believe it or not, water damage from things like burst pipes and appliance failures is one of the most common and most expensive claims homeowners have to file. So the real question isn't if your home might face a water threat, it's when. And are you going to be prepared when it does? Thanks for tuning in.